Shannon Bream, a rare treat in our studio. I thought for sure, even though you were in the building, you'd call from another office because you didn't want to be in the studio with me. I'm pleasantly surprised.
Well, when the judge waived the restraining order for this, 48-hour period, I thought, well, I make good use of that. I'll go see Brian in person. It's a pause. It's a judicial pause.
That's your judicial
on the
pause. Proceedings. That'll be fine. So we'll see. But you can't. This judge cannot deport me.
Well, that you know of.
That we know of. We got to. Everybody.
Stranger things have happened.
I know. We'll find out.
Where would you want to go if you did get deported? Like, I have some places, if I get kicked out of the country, I would never want to leave America, but if they kick me out.
I'd probably Aruba.
Oh, that's not a bad place.
And I'd serve my time there. And I'd go from resort to resort until I learned my lesson.
You would be on resort arrest.
Absolutely.
House arrest.
Yes. Go to the salad bar.
Yeah,
That's
I like that.
Mm-hmm. So, Shannon, I was tempted to do the big three, but I don't want to.
Okay, well, it's your show.
Right.
You get to do what you want.
Should we get what's on your show this weekend?
We are going to have a debate from the House Intel Committee where, DNI Gabbard has released this stuff about Russiagate, Russia hoax. We've got the chair, Rick Crawford, and we've got Democrat Jason Crow. And they don't see the documents the same way.
They don't.
They don't, so we're going to debate it.
I think we need a heavy debate. This is what I would say. And I was telling people this because I'm like you. I do hits with other affiliates across the country. And this morning they say, what do I think about this? I say this. And I hope people understand my sincerity. If I find out that Donald Trump in the fourth year of his administration, and his party loses to a Democrat, let's say it's Wes Moore. Wes Moore is the president-elect. If I found out that Donald Trump met with his inner circle and worked out a way to try to delegitimize Wes Moore's win and then destroy his next 2 years with an investigation that was based on nothing, I would be just as outraged as I feel with the revelations that have been coming forward gradually from Andy McCarthy's book 4 years ago to what we found out again today. Because that's really fundamentally, as people get caught up in who said what, that's really what would happen.
Yeah, and that's what Gabbard says. You should care whether you're a Democrat or Republican because you don't want this to happen to anybody who's duly elected legitimately by the people of this country. You should not want them to be undermined. And the media being complicit and being a partner in this leaks of this, not fully legit information. I mean, you shouldn't want that for anybody.
Right. And just the key is this, and I don't think this is fully appreciated. They've done the impossible. Yes, since 2014, we've been looking into what Russia's trying to do with our elections. And through basically social media, they tried buying Facebook ads and doing things. Okay, fine. Nobody thinks electronically, digitally, they were able to infiltrate.
That's one thing they agree on.
Right. But they didn't make it clear. They said Vladimir Putin, nothing happens in Russia without him knowing about it. We think he was directly involved. And then they wanted to establish collusion for this entire situation. So they go ahead and they make up a situation where Donald Trump is working with Vladimir Putin in order to win an election. Then they meet in Helsinki after long delays and all problems because how could Donald Trump appear with a summit with Vladimir Putin when he's being accused of collaborating with him? That would just reinforce the thought process. So when they meet in Helsinki, Putin looks at him and says, I may be a KGB agent. I probably lie to you all the time, but I actually did not work with you. And I didn't work with you to win an election. The Facebook ads is all I got. And he goes out there and he does a press conference. And you might have been there in Helsinki. Were you traveling?
Was not. I was there in spirit.
So he does a press conference and goes, yeah, my intel community says he tried to manipulate the election. I believe him. He didn't. He didn't try to manipulate, and I certainly didn't collaborate with him. Vladimir Putin was actually right. He's like, look, I might be a bad guy, but I didn't kill everybody. I might be a killer, but I didn't kill those people.
Certain killing.
Yes. So Vladimir Putin was actually telling the truth. You took the villain of our generation and you caught him telling the truth. You overcharged him with innuendo that we didn't find out until I guess 2 weeks ago.
Well, and the thing is, you go back, we've all been doing it, playing the clips where you have people saying Russia hacked the election. That's a very specific thing that makes people think, because when you talk to people now, you probably talk to people all the time like, oh yeah, they broke into machines and changed votes. Everybody agrees that is not what they did. That's not what they're talking about. D's and R's agree that that is not what happened. But when you leave that impression out there for people, there are people who believe that's exactly what Putin did.
Right. And the thing is, if you watch only the other channels and only read the New York Times and Washington Post, then, the investigation happens, the Mueller report is done, and he's not impeached. Okay. So much happened. I'm not even thinking, you collaborated. They couldn't prove that he collaborated with Putin, but we all know he did. But if you don't go out of your way to read a book or watch our channel, you have no idea what we're talking about. For example, did you know the whole thing with the laptop? How many times do people outside the Fox go, well, that was Russian disinformation?
Well, this is the same vibe to me, the exact same vibe,
same thing.
where people are saying we shouldn't even be reporting on this. You're doing Russia's bidding. You're doing the work for them by reporting on this. No, as journalists, you should want to ask questions. You should say, hey, is there something to this? I should care because, as you said, with a Democrat president, this could happen too. We don't want that to happen.
So, Shannon, there's three things going on right now. The Tulsi Gabbard, it's got merit, all right? The Epstein investigation's got merit. And we have a situation with Joe Biden. Was he actually making any decision? Has merit. But those three things are not affecting Americans' lives. They're of interest. But if you take the top 10 issues that affect America's lives, Donald Trump's making big decisions, and some are great, and some you disagree with. Like the MAGA world probably agrees with 99.9% of it. Some Republicans agree with maybe 80% of it. Democrats, 15% of it, but it's all happening. Impactful decisions, the big, beautiful bill, even the college sports EO that came down the pike. There's no more DEI in this country. If there is, you're going to be condemned. The argument on sanctuary cities, immigration in our midst, the sealing of the border. Those are the issues that matter that people are going to vote on and feel, let alone the economic trade deals. How much does meat cost? How much does eggs cost? How much is that new car going to cost? How much to get a mortgage? Those are all the things that rank ahead of the three biggest stories.
Yeah.
So how do you not cover the reality shows and cover what's important and keep people's interest?
Yeah, I think you got to do all of it. I mean, you have to acknowledge that there are other stories going out there. Our polling shows us what people are worried about. And they do a daily poll, a daily check-in every time they buy groceries and they put gas in the car and whatever they do. That's their real life. A lot of people you bring this stuff up with, they have no idea who you're talking about. They don't know who Brennan or Clapper is. Like those names, that's not part of their daily routine of trying to keep a roof over their head and their kids in school and whatever else they got to do. So I do think those are things that will show up much more in voting, in decisions. I mean, there are off-year elections. We're watching New Jersey and Virginia. I mean, there are places where you're going to get to hear from people about other things they actually care about.
I want you to hear, the one thing I was surprised at is that Ron Klain spoke. Out of everyone behind closed doors, I guess Neera Tanden and one other spoke, but had very little to say. And then you had a bunch of people take the fifth in the Joe Biden investigation. But almost everyone agrees that Ron Klain came to play. And I'm just wondering why you think he did. Is he trying to save his career? Is he trying to cleanse his soul? What is he doing?
I think a couple different things. Some of these people are coming in under voluntary interviews, which I believe that's what he was yesterday. That's different than a sworn deposition where if you're going to potentially be in trouble, you're going to take the fifth. I mean, a sworn deposition, you're going to want more protection for yourself.
You as a lawyer, when someone takes the fifth, if I say, well, that obviously you're hiding something, you go, no, that's a constitutional option.
Yeah, it is.
But
and
can you contrast taking the fifth to what Ron Klain did?
Yeah.
And they have the same stakes?
Yeah, I mean, there are different potential penalties for the way that he was testifying, but I do think that he is a guy who understands, listen, he said, of course, the president was slowing down. That's not a big mystery. It would come with his age, that kind of thing. What I thought was interesting is that apparently he talked about the fact that Jake Sullivan and Hillary Clinton came to him during the end of Biden's time and said he's not politically viable. So there are a lot of people that are going to be thrown into this mix. More people for Hunter Biden to be mad at.
Here's what Republican Congressman Andy Biggs said, cut 16.
I think Mr. Klain has come in there and he's, in my opinion, he's not trying to avoid answering the questions. He's answering the questions carefully. He's saying the things that I kind of expected him to say, which is reflective of the book, the Whipple book, and some of the articles written about that. But he's been answering the questions, I think, forthrightly and in the way he sees the world.
See, to me, it is so interesting that he thought it would be the right thing to do to say Hillary Clinton also knew it and Jake Sullivan. We know that Jake Sullivan, who was doing all this international work, had to call back to the White House and know he was getting a dial tone. So, and he denied it. This is the second time we heard that Jake Sullivan had a problem with Joe Biden's cognitive ability, but they both deny it. So at this point, they do an autopsy for Democrats and they say, we're not going to talk about Harris and we're not going to talk
Right.
about Biden. And behind the scenes, you only got really one or two people that are willing to talk about it. Where do you think this will go? I mean, do you think there's pressure on those who are left, at least 5, to say something?
Well, and our polling does show out this week that people do think that the investigation into use of the auto pen is legit. They want answers about that. And again, that's another thing you shouldn't care about based on party. Any president that you think is not in control of making decisions, you should not want, if you're a D or an R, to know that there's a group of people, the Politburo, whatever they're calling them, who were running the show and making decisions. Like, no American should want that. It completely devalues your vote and your ability to trust in the presidency. So our polling shows that people do want answers on that question. I don't know how far you get with this. Klain does seem to have been the most forthcoming, but think of the big heavy hitters we have still coming. Anita Dunn. We've got Jeff Zients. We've got Karine Jean-Pierre, who said as a marathon runner, she couldn't keep up with President Biden. So we've got some more. I've got a lot of questions.
I didn't know the first part. Was she's a marathon runner?
Yeah, she's a distance runner. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But do you know why she said absolutely nothing in those press conferences?
What do you mean?
When she would go out, I know press secretaries have to spin. But
you didn't like her book?
But if you watch Kayleigh McEnany, if you watch
From the cuff, off the cuff,
Caroline Leavitt, Ari Fleischer, any Democrat that I could think of, they have something to say and stuff they don't want to say. But she absolutely said nothing, always. And that was because, to me, there was nothing going on. He wasn't making decisions.
Right. Think about it like Caroline said yesterday or the day before, like she says all the time, I'm with the president every single day. I know what he thinks. I know what we're working on. I know what's happening around the clock. I feel like his inner circle, meaning President Biden's, really did not have much access to him at all. And like you said, I don't know that a lot was getting done. And so she would come out, and I think her role was to be protective. That's what she was doing.
A few more minutes with Shannon Bream. Oh, excuse me. Oh, wait, yeah, with a few more minutes with Shannon Bream.
You sound like maybe you don't think that's a good idea.
No,
you're weighing your options.
No, I was looking at, instead of looking at your name, I was looking at Tommy Lahren.
And you're fast forwarding past me. You're like, let's get to Tommy.
If you don't mind. You know, I get our fantastic anchors confused sometimes.